Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits and welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire and this week I have more holiday tag ideas for you. They are not necessarily limited to holidays. These are tags that could be all year long, but I've tried also to make them festive for the holiday season. And the techniques are mixed media techniques that you could use for all kinds of different applications. So if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. Welcome back to the studio. So these are my prototype gift tags that I made yesterday. And what I did was I added ephemera to the backgrounds of the tags and then put embellishments on top of that. So for example, this one is the wet cement tag that I added some ephemera and I darkened the edges and stenciled in black. So it's these nice neutral tones. This one I added some dimension with Tim Holtz distressed grit paste. That's this product right here, which was kind of fun. It gives like texture and depth and like a gritty kind of surface. And I added some metallic to that to create this kind of textured gold, but I wasn't quite happy with the gold. It's really not quite golden gold. So that's just a matter of changing the color. This one I'm real happy with because I got the Stickles glitter gel on there. And I love that because it's very flexible. It doesn't crack when you bend it back to flatten it out. And you can bend it and it's not cracking. And it's got these nice big chunks in it, the Stickles glitter gel. So that is the, where is that? It's out here on the desk somewhere. Yes, it is the it looks like it's silver, but it's probably got some kind of other weird name that I can't read. Anyway, so it's this. I love that on there. And I chose the silver because of this neutral palette. And then I've got an old stamp on there. So here again, this is on the black tag. And I did the grit paste with the mixed in paint on that one. This one is just basically the ephemera with the Tim Holtz postcard stamp. And lastly, I had fun with this. I wanted to make buttons look like tree ornaments, but I wasn't happy with the thickness of the black lines on that. That one's sort of out for review. But anyway, what I decided in all of these, and I love the multicolor ribbons, but what I decided was that the palette was kind of neutral and kind of vintage for Christmas tags. They would be great neutral gift tags, any time of the year gift tags, but I think I wanted to bring them up to some more interesting colors, but not necessarily bright. So anyway, so those are the prototypes, and I'm working on the wet cement, as I mentioned. This one is white, smooth and sturdy. This one is, this has got fibers in it. They're a little hard to see, but there are fibers in the white on this one. This one is watercolor paper. So that's a watercolor paper tag. This one is the black, smooth and sturdy, which I made sort of a mess of the back of. And this is the brown craft. So today I want to focus on my favorites. The white ones, I would say, are all pretty similar for this process. So I guess I'll go with the one with the fibers in it, the flecks in it, when I'm using white. But the watercolor is also nice because it's got a nice texture, and the smooth and sturdy, they're all kind of nice. It just depends on which white you want. So those are the whites, the wet cement, the black, and the brown craft. And these honestly are my personal favorites. So, okay, so let's clean up the prototypes and let's talk about what we can do to make this different, better. Okay, so here's what I brought out. I brought out scraps of paper. So basically, the white, I grabbed white, and that's basically text and type, because when I'm collaging, I use text and type for my whites. So I use things like this. This is atlas pages and kids book pages, and something I got from a Canadian art gallery, and technical books, and type, and handwriting, and kids books that have illustrations, so black and white line art illustrations, and a palette sheet from my Masterson Stay Wet box that had white scraped over the whole thing, and something else I doodled on. So that's kind of similar to the previous ephemera. But then I pulled out brown scraps of brown gel prints, mostly, except for this pink letter, which I thought went with the brown better than the white. But here's some gel printing with stencils and metallics and punchinella, another palette box sheet, another palette box sheet, some decorative papers that I painted brown. So I grabbed some scraps of gel printing in browns. I'm sure that when you do gel printing, you have these scraps around too. So anything that comes in sort of a brown family, I pulled those out. And then lastly, to work on the wet cement gray tags, I pulled out a bunch of gray. So I also included in that the black and white illustrations, some gray and black gel prints that I made, various things, a decorative paper from the art supply store, and some privacy envelope, and some more gel printing scraps. And here's some fun black and white that I did with eyelash yarn. So go through your gel printing scraps and pull out some colors. And because my favorites are these neutrals, the wet cement is going to be what I'm going to work on with the black, and also the, and today I'm going to go for the bigger tags. It's up to you. There's a number 5 tag, and then there's a number 8 tag, and the process is going to be the same. So you can see the size difference. The 8 tag is significantly bigger. So if you want more real estate and you want to make a bigger tag, the process is going to be exactly the same. So I'm going to work on the small 5 tags right now. But just know that you could do, or maybe I'll do a mix. I'm so indecisive, right? So maybe we'll do a mix. Maybe we'll do a big tag of the black, and a couple small tags of the wet cement. And I don't have big tags in every color either. So let's do a big tag, a couple of big tags in the brown craft, because I've got that. And let's see, I've got a couple big tags in the white with the fibers. So we'll do that, and we'll do a small one. Let's do that too, maybe. No, I don't know. Let's do a couple of the big ones. Ooh, that one's got a lot of fibers in it. I guess it depends, but I do like that fiber. And then I've got the black. So we've got big tags. I think these are number 8s. The measurement, I would say, is about 4 inches. So we'll double check that. So, and then I only have wet cement in the number 5s, which is fine, because if you're working on a small package, this is a nice size tag, a very nice size tag. So we'll do those, and we'll do 2 black in the big size. So, I've got I do not have a snowflake stencil, and I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, what could I use that I have on hand? And I found my Italian wedding stencil, and I thought, here's some things in here that with white could give you the feeling of snowflakes without having to be snowflakes. So either you could do that with something that you've already got in your stash that maybe could look like snowflakes. Also on these, this is my Planet Peacock stencil, which I chose because it has a nice small pattern in it. And I'll probably use that again this time. So where is that? So here's Planet Peacock. It's got a nice small pattern, which works well on the small tags. And stencils are still on sale with Joggles until early December 2nd, December 4th, something like that. Anyway, they're 25% off. So another good reason for this lesson in using the stencils. So Italian Wedding and Planet Peacock. Okay. So how I did this, I'm also using to tint the edges. I'm using my mini ink blender tool and my Ranger archival ink pad. That's how I'm getting the dark around the edges. And I've got some a bag of like many different colors of curling ribbon for the tags. I thought this was great because it's a small amount, of many different colors instead of giving you 2 miles of it. So this is great and allows me to make all my tags have different color ribbons. Using also talked about the Stickles glue and the distress paste. Okay, so how I set these up so that they would be a little bit easier to manage. Let's start with that. Is oh, and also I'm going to try a different color mix in. When I said that I didn't really love this gold, the color that I used for it was called unicorn hair, and it's gold, but it's kind of slightly not so yellow. So I grabbed another one. These are the Art Alchemy Sparks paints. This one is called Dragon's Eye, and it looks to me like it's a little bit more gold, so I think I might like this one better. And I also pulled out this one, Phoenix Feather. It's about as close to red as I have, and I really didn't want to do red and green or bright red and gold. I wanted to have colors that were sort of slightly different, not traditional Christmas colors. So I love orange, so that could be cool mixed with the grit paste as well. So we've got a couple different color options to mix in with the grit paste. I'm also using fluid matte medium. I don't have gel matte medium. I would prefer that because I think that gel helps keep the papers down more flat, but I didn't have really any trouble with these not going down flat. So the matte medium, so that you don't have shiny areas on your tag around, because we're going to leave some of the tag paper showing itself, and we don't want to have shiny and matte kind of mixed. So that was my thought process behind that, because that's what I have. Okay, and then I've also got a ruler, and somewhere here I've got a little cutting pad so that I don't cut my nonstick craft mat surface, but we will find that eventually out here under. I'm sure it's under something. Okay, so what I did with the tags to sort of keep them in place was I used a piece of painter's tape, and I found it was still kind of sticky. So press it onto your jeans or your pants or a sweater a couple of times to sort of take some of the tack of it off, because even this was kind of sticky for the back of the tag. So I'm pressing it on my sweater a couple of times to lower the tack, and that helps a lot. So then I'm going to lay this across, and I want to put the tags sort of on it to keep them from moving around too much. So I'm going to put the black ones together. And this way, I'm going to put them together by color family so that when I go through the gel prints to apply, that I'm working all in black. So this way I can even curl these under and sort of get it to stay still on the desk. But before I do that, I'm going to set that aside, do the same thing. Okay, so the first step is to glue down the ephemera. The idea, though, is not to cover the whole tag. On the white ones, we want to leave some of that fiber kind of white paper showing through. And on the brown craft ones, we want to leave some of the brown craft showing through. And same with the black and the gray. So I'm going to start with the white. And for the white, I chose white ephemera because I want to keep it kind of neutral so that I can then accent it with the stenciling and the stamping and both and the postage stamps and some of those other items. And we can even, I have also out here in the studio the Tim Holtz set of mini archival inks. So in this one, I edged it with a little bit of a dark purple, and that can be interesting too. So you don't always have to just do black. So we could play with giving that edge with some alternative colors. So for that reason, I'm going to stay with sort of neutral white. Like this might be a bit strong, but maybe not. Maybe not. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab white and off-white for these. And I am going to use the fluid matte medium, and I'm going to let them hang off the edges so that they're glued all the way. and then I will trim them, which is why I was looking for my my cutting mat. So I'm going to just use a little bit of the matte medium, and I'm going to put it over the surface of the card right to the edges. Don't worry about getting it on the tape. And then I'm going to let this hang off the edge. And then I'm going to put the matte medium over the top. And you do want to think about like which way your patterns are going. So like I want to put some text on here, but instead of running it horizontally, I wanted to run it vertically with the tag. So any kind of, like if you're using sheet music or text or type, just think about whether you want it to go vertical or horizontal in the pattern and sort of kind of tear it that way. So again, I'm going to let it hang off a little bit. I'm going to put the matte medium over the top, pressing down to make sure we get nice and flat. And then while I've got it, I'm going to come over to this one, get that glue all the way across. And even if they cross over to each other, like we could put the glue down here and let that glue onto the other one too. And that'll give us some little haphazard crossovers, which are kind of serendipitously interesting. So we can go across the tape that way. Okay, so the next thing, I've got some off-white paper here, and I'm not sure, maybe that would be interesting to add a little bit of that. So, but I have plenty of, white. Let's get some of that. So we're gonna, and again, I could flip this under so it doesn't move around on the desk. Should have done that with this side before I got stuff on it. So that way we're a little more sturdy and we're not sliding around as much. Okay, so let's add this in here. And I fell short of the edge there, so I'm going to lift that up because I do want it to go side to side. So let's put it on the smaller tag because I tore it too short. And then it could end up on part of that. So this one I'm going across with the type. And let's put this one all the way across. So when you use handwriting like this, you have to make sure you do a little test patch to be sure that whatever it was written with isn't going to smear when you apply the glue. And we want to remember to leave some space of the white of these tags showing through because we want to take advantage of the paper with the fibers and let that be part of the beauty of it. So we don't have to feel like we're going to fill up every bit of it. Okay, so that one's pretty well complete. And we're just going to let these dry completely before we trim them. So I'm just going to set these aside and work on the next set, which is going to be the brown craft. So this time I'll do this in advance. Tack it down so it moves a little less. And then I'm going to come to my brown pile of gel printed scraps. So everything in sort of a brownish neutral family in your pile of scraps of gel printing. You may wonder why I'm leaving space in between these rather than having them all together so I can go all the way across. I found that when I had them all the way together, the glue went down between them and kind of seeped under the tape. That may still happen, but I've separated them out kind of hoping that we can keep the glue off of the back sides. It is matte medium though, so it doesn't show up too bad because it's not shiny. But it was, my spreading them out is in reaction to that. And I am working on my non-stick craft mat tabletop surface, so all of this glue will just scrape right off with a credit card. A credit card or a room key. When the glue is dry, I just scrape it all and sweep it into the bin. It's really easy to clean up, so I don't worry about getting sticky glue on the surface of my table. So the smaller tags, you know, you may have so many papers that you want to include many more, and the bigger tag just gives you a little bit more real estate for that. But you want to resist the temptation to cover up all the brown. The reason that we are using brown family of collage papers is to take advantage of the brown craft paper and its color. So let's leave some of that. Okay, I think that finishes our browns. So we have a nice arrangement of brown gel print scraps and craft paper. And again, I'm going to set that aside to dry. And I can scrape up some of this now. And then the next set we'll do are the gray wet cement. These are all number 5. The smaller tags. And any of these techniques can be applied to any size of the tags. Joggles has tags from small all the way up to really, really big. So it's the same process. So on this one, we're going to be using the gray paper. So not so much the black, but some of the gray ones that I chose. And I'll save the black ones for the black tags. Okay, so that should do it for the gray. I've left plenty of the gray wet cement stock showing, and I've got a lot of cool gel prints on that. I've lifted it up so it doesn't stick to the table, and I'll set it off to a surface to dry. And lastly, we have our black smooth and sturdy tags in 2 sizes. And for these, I want to focus on black papers or black and white papers. And again, as with all of them, I want to leave us a decent amount, 30% or so of the actual cardstock showing. And on these, when you write your gift messages on the back, you'll just use a metallic silver or metallic gold or white Posca pen or other opaque paint pen on the back. So now for the black. And there we have the black tags with a nice arrangement of black and white on them. So now we will set those aside to dry, and I will clean my brush and I will find my cutting mat in the meantime. Okay, so the white ones, the ones we started with, are totally dry. This is going to be the process for all of them. I found my nice small cutting mat. I love this because I can throw it in a small drawer and it doesn't take up tons of space. And for most projects, this is all the space I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the tape, and hopefully that worked, rubbing it on my sweater so it doesn't pull off too much of the paper on the back. I'm going to discard that. And now they're pretty much separate, but we're going to take an X-Acto with a brand new blade. You want it to be a brand new sharp blade so that we can get some nice clean edges here. And we're just going to put a metal ruler along the edge of the card, tag, and trim. Okay, just had to apply a little more pressure. Don't be afraid to apply pressure when you're using this, and make sure you protect. Do not cut on your craft mat. It is not, gonna deal, it'll cut really easily. So this is a self-healing cutting mat. So you can apply a lot of pressure. Get it. This is a little bit of a thicker paper. Okay. So that's what you want to do. You're going to trim out the edges of all of the colors and sizes of tags. Okay, so our next step is to antique the edges. And I'm going to be using my mini ink blender tool with replacement foam so that I don't, cross-contaminate the colors. Although we could work from light to dark, so you could use one foam and work from like the grayish to the brownish to the black, however you want to do it. I'm going to keep the colors clean though. These can be washed out and reused. So the first thing I want to do is antique the white ones. And since they're the lightest, they might be fun to do with an interesting dark color instead of black. So I'm thinking about maybe doing this dark purple. We can see how that looks. And these are archival inks, so they are oil-based. So you do need to clean your tools between using them, and wiping with a baby wipe is sufficient typically, but they are permanent. So they're not going to smear or transfer if they get wet. That's what's nice about them. So I'm just going to use a sheet of paper here and kind of come around the edge like this, or I could pick it up too. Sometimes it's easier to hold it. And I'm just going to go, I want to go heavy in the corners and sort of light around the edges. The purple might be a little too intense, but it sure is fun. And it's fun to experiment. So, and then I'm also going to do the edges of the paper. So we don't have white. And you can also do the back if you want, where you're going to write your to and from. But that's kind of neat. I like the purple. I need a little bit more down here. And so we could try something a little less intense, a little kind of grungier. So let me leave the same thing on and go with a brown and see if the brown and purple mix nicely. So this one is, ground espresso. And the first one I used is Villainous Potion. What great names Tim has for these colors. Okay, so I'm mixing the ground espresso with the purple that was already on there, and it's not showing up the purple, so that's probably just as well. Okay, so now we're able to not have to switch the foam, and we're gonna do the same thing around the edges, this time with the brown. The white paper really offers you kind of a lot of options because it's so neutral. You can put a lot of different options of antiquing color around the edges. And you can go heavy or you can go light, that one's a little heavier, but I like it. I would go like I said, I go heavy across the top and the bottom and in the corners so that you get that kind of a look. We can experiment with another color. Maybe we want to go a little holiday-ish and do like a dark red. I've got a fired brick here, and if I leave the brown that's in the foam, it may darken that a little bit. And we can just kind of dab off the corners. You can treat this different way. I think I found it easier to pick it up than to leave it on the paper. So again, a little heavier in the corner and the bottom. And I'm going to apply these same techniques to all of the colors of the cards. For the brown craft cards, I'll use a nice neutral brown. For the gray craft cards, I'll use black. And for the black tags, I'll use black as well to darken the ephemera. It won't really darken the card. So there's that one. Okay, so now that we have all of our cards antiqued and trimmed and ready to go, the next idea or the next concept is that each one of them needs a focal point or a point of interest. Some of them are beautiful to stand alone, especially I'm loving the gray collage tags to stand alone and some of the brown ones to stand alone. So I'm definitely going to pick out a couple of those that I want to leave, but definitely the white ones need something more and the black ones need something more. So we'll do a point of focus on each one of them. So the first point of focus that I have is postage stamps. And I've got these off paper, which basically means there's no envelope paper on the back. And I am choosing them for two reasons. Either for subject matter, I've got Christmas, and I've got several Christmas, or for color, like this one is purple and that one is purple. And I picked those out because I was thinking about the tag with the purple edges. So in terms of the tag with the purple edges, I would go with the purple stamp, postage stamp, and I've got two here that I can work with. And those would be my point of focus. I've also got some other purple that I picked out. Like you could either go Christmas or you could go totally fun. Like this is a Guinea stamp, Republic of Guinea, that's got some really great imagery and colors on it. So sometimes you go for the colors and sometimes you go for the subject. I don't think I have anything purple that says Christmas, but I do have several Christmas. I'm just going to set my Christmas ones aside so I know what I'm dealing with here. And then I grabbed some that have black backgrounds for the black cards and brown backgrounds for the brown cards, because a lot of the time I like the way that they look with just the color matching. Okay, so we're going to go with purple on that one. Here's another purple stamp. So we'll give it a couple different purple stamps point of focus. Actually going to keep them, I think, to, well, put them like that. Okay, so let's put that in the main part here so you can see. And let's go down a little bit. That's a little better. Okay, so we're gonna apply these again with the fluid matte medium so that we don't have any shiny spots I always use gloss for my collage work, but for this I don't want to have any shiny spots and dull spots. I want it all to be the same sheen. So matte it is. So I'm just going to put these, I'm going to put the medium, just like I did with the papers. The medium goes under and then over. And you apply pressure with the brush to get the paper to lay flat. I think that's a little crooked, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. It's the beauty of imperfection. Okay, so then I'm going to come over here and put this one. And then this one. So that's a nice example of a postage stamp point of focus with a color matching combo on the white. I'll set that aside, and then I could do the same with Christmas on one of the smaller tags. If I wanted to put, I think I'll do a little one. And that's not a Christmas stamp. Oh, here's a 2-for-1 bonus. So there's a red one, and this has the sort of the red edges. So I think I'm going to put that right somewhere in here. Maybe there. Yeah, I kind of like that. And I could do another one. I could do a green one. I like the poem, though, Hush-a-Bye Baby, so I don't really want to cover that up too much. So I think I'll leave room for some other embellishment on that one. And then for one of the brown tags, I'm going to choose one of the larger ones, and I'm going to use stamps that match the color. So here I'm going to use a postage stamp with a brown background. So it goes with our color theme. And I've got a Christmas one here that has a mostly brown background that I'm going to put, oh, I don't know, Maybe I need to save that for another tag. I don't want to put too much on it in terms of stamp. So I'll use that on a different brown tag. And let's see. Here's another Christmas that's sort of dark. That might look good up here. So let's use that. And if you felt like you wanted to come back and antique the edges again to hit the edge of the Christmas stamp with the brown, you could do that. I kind of like the way it's standing up off of it though. Okay. So that would be our brown one. Then I'm going to grab one of the gray tags and show you adding a basically gray postage stamp. So I don't have anything gray for Christmas, but I've got some gray options here. On a smaller tag, you want to go with a smaller stamp. Look at that. That's beautiful. So I'm going to put this one right here. That matches the color palette really nicely. And I'll add this one sort of down here. So we're going to come back with the mini ink blender tool and a foam refill. And we're going to choose a color. And I want to also give a shout out to Tim Holtz. Let me go back here. Whoa, that's not what I want. Okay. Tim personally sent me these three, I think, sets of archival ink pads and the storage tins. And they're just so great. I use them a lot. And I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Tim for that. That was thoughtful. Okay, so we got to get some of that mess off our surface. And okay, so for example, this one as a focal point, the white tag, let's go down here. So I'm going to add to that some stenciling. So I've got the two stencils. The first one I'm going to bring out is the Planet Peacock. So I can just add some small decorative pattern to this one. So I'm going to just put it over, and I'm not going to cover the whole tag. The idea is like the prototype, this one, is to sort of hit it like here, up in the edge and here, but not to cover the whole thing. So, and then that one I did, that was gray with black. And this one we did green. So we could do a darker green, the same green. We could do red. There's a lot of different color combinations. We could go with red and see how that looks with like that dark. The fired brick was more of a red-brown. I don't know if I want to make it too colorful. So how about if we go with the dark, this green is probably the same one I used on the edges. So, dilemma. How about brown? Brown with the green? We'll use the same green, see what happens. Okay, so we're just gonna rub that color onto the mini ink blender tool. Get that sponge really full of color. And then we're going to go like up in the corner. Let's see if that's darkening. Yep. Okay. So up in the corner and then sort of across here a little bit and down in this corner. And we'll lift it up and see what we think before we dismount. So I'm going to add some more over here. Now to darken that a little bit, because it's not much contrast to the original green, I'm going to grab some black or blackish gray. Let's see what this one is. This is the hickory smoke that we used on the gray tags. Let's see if we can darken this down a little bit with the espresso. I think that'll be a better darkener. And I'm going to dab it, but here, if I rub it, I get a little bit darker, better results. So rubbing in a circle. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, so going darker and rubbing rather than dabbing. Look at that. Really nice. I love that. Now, for this, you could also come back in and add a focal point of a green Christmas stamp. So that's a fun one. And it's got a kind of a very cool pattern. I might have gone a little bit too much with the pattern, but I really like it. Nonetheless, okay. So we could add a postage stamp to that one and we would have a really nice tag. And then I'm going to do the same thing just with the purple one because I want to switch my sponge and get a dark purple or maybe even more of a dark blue. Let's go with the prize ribbon blue. Okay, so for the point of focus of this one, I think I was off camera a little bit there, but I'm rubbing and I'm keeping the feather eye as my point of focus, and I've added it to the stamps, and this is really nice. So that's the idea that I had for this one. This one, I think I made too much coverage, which is tricky with the small tag, but I'm still happy with it, possibly adding that stamp. But this in the larger area, but also just sort of navigating and getting 2 peacock eyes and a little bit around the edges, not coming too much across the middle so we can still see the ephemera and the stamps. So composition is important. Play with that. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. So start slowly and lift it up to peak so you can sort of see what you're getting. Okay, so I really like that. And let's do one of those on the gray. The black, it'll be hard to show up. So on the black, we're going to use the grit paste and the pushing that through. Also, we can use the silver glitter gel. That looks really nice on the black and on the gray. So let's go on one gray one for a focal point. Let's use this one, and we'll go with black ink. So the top right corner, the lower left corner. Oh, look at that. Really nice. And I'm going to grab a little bit in here. Yeah. And let's see if we can line that back up. And just a little here. Okay, look at that. Beautiful with the black on the gray. And that's just, I really like that. With the peacock, planet peacock stencil, mostly heavy on the upper right-hand corner, heavy on the lower left, so opposite corners. Okay, and this one really successful with the stencil as well. And on the brown one, we'll do, let's go with a big tag. Vintage photo. I wonder if that would be dark enough. I've still got black in my sponge. So let's try that. So I'm going to line this up. And I'm going to go heavy in the top left. So I'm not covering up my stamp, my postage stamp. Ooh, that's a good color. So this is vintage photo, but I've got a little black in my sponge. Love that. Okay, so there's a dark paper on the bottom here that the color does not really show up in, but that's okay. All right, that's beautiful too. Look at that. A really nice bit of stencil pattern on the brown. And that was vintage photo with a little bit of black. So, now that we have done the stenciling, the next thing I want to do is just to simply accent with the Stickles glitter gel. Let's go back down to 1. So with the Stickles glitter gel, and that's super easy. You're just going to take a palette knife and grab some of that gel and apply it like to one of these. You're going to just take the knife and spread it like butter. You can scrape it thin. I like laying it out a little thick because then you get all those little beautiful big chunks that are in there showing up. And I'm going to add some even up here. And I'm just going to spread it with my palette knife right across here like butter. Get a little bit more so I can get some of those little... Now this takes a little while to dry, so we're definitely not going to put our string in this one, you know, until tomorrow. But look at how beautiful. And then you're just going to run your finger along the edge to make sure you don't have any overhanging glitter blobs. And then look at how beautiful that is. Just so beautiful. And that's your focal point on this one. And it's going to, the silver really looks nice with the gray tag. Okay, so I went into my stash and I've got 2 more colors of the glitter gel. And they also typically have different shapes suspended in them. Like this one has circles, and I think it also has stars or circles in other colors. This is the black one, the black mix, and it is called Dark Matter. And so it is going to be really cool on the black. So let's put that on this black tag, like sort of in here. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. It's got the circles and then also some what looks like confetti. And that is a beautiful focal point for this one on opposite corners. So top left and bottom right. Maybe I'll pull a little bit of this across a little bit. And look at all those. This is the glitter gel also comes in a squeeze top, but the squeeze top is not going to have these big chunky shapes in it. So I love the stuff in the little pots because of the big chunky shapes. That's my favorite part. Okay, so, and then last but not least, I'm just going to wipe that off on a paper towel. And then I've got a gold one. This one is called something noir, solar flare. Gosh, it's hard to read. Anyway, this one, you know, is going to go on the brown craft card. There's not much in here, but these are stars. Look at that. Those are stars suspended in here. So we're going to apply that to, that's already got a decent amount going on it. This. So we're just going to, this one's a little dry. It's been in my stash for a little while. Have no fear. We just have to scrape it a little bit more. And look at how beautiful that works with the brown tag and the brown, you can see that I'm keeping it sort of in a color harmony. I've used the browns, I've used the blacks, I've used the gray silvers. I've kept in the palette of the purple. So the idea is to, whatever you're doing, sort of stay in a kind of cohesive palette of color, and they'll look nicer that way. Okay, so that's the glitter gel. I know I'm throwing a lot of options at you. You can pick 1 or 2 or all of them. You know, there's a lot of products and a lot of things that I'm sharing, but I am giving you options. And then you can choose whatever effect you think came out the best. So, okay, so the next effect that I want to do is applying the dimensional paste with color mixed in. And these can be layered with the ones with the Stickles glitter gel. It's just that you have to wait for the glitter gel to dry. So I'm going to come back in with a sheet of palette paper. And let's start with this one. I want to do that reddish, that orangey red kind of color. I think would be bright on the dark. So let's go here. So we've got the dark tag, and I've got the Phoenix feather paint. Okay. So we're going to pull some of that out. And this is a nice metallic paint. And we're going to use the grit paste so that we can spread it through the stencil. And so it'll have like a gritty kind of texture. You could use modeling paste, molding paste. I kind of like this grit paste because of the rough texture that it has. You want to wipe off your paint so you don't contaminate the grit paste, of course. So we're going to mix that in. So you can blend in. The grit paste dries pretty clear. It has a little bit of a whiteness to it, but it's definitely not opaque. So mixing in a color is not going to be tinted pink because this is not white. This does not dry white. So let's see. Let's go down a little bit here. That's better. Okay, so you'll get the pure color. When it dries, it'll be the pure color of the paint that you blend in. It will not be affected by what seems to be white of the paste because the paste dries pretty much clear. Okay, so the same thing that we did with the stenciling with the stamp, we want to do like upper corner, lower corner, one edge. We don't want to go across the whole thing. I did that kind of on this one, and I think it's less effective than on this one where I did the corners and that one. So that's the plan for this. And we've got two options. We can use the peacock. Let's try that again. Well, first we'll use the peacock and we'll just put it on and sort of, let's see where our stamp, our postage stamp is here. So we don't want to cover that. And we're going to just, let's go down one side with this. So let's just kind of come down. We'll meander a little, but we'll pretty much keep it to down one side. We'll go right off the edge of that one side. And we're just spreading it with the palette knife. And then we're going to lift. And you're going to have this beautiful raised texture, kind of reddish orange edge. And that is a beautiful focal point. We're going to take your finger and just smooth that off. And look at that. That is really, really nice. Really nice. Okay, I love that. And that color, gold or silver, would also look great on the black. I wanted to go for like a pop of color, but I feel like that color would also look great on the brown craft because it's sort of in that warm family. So for this one, let's spread it in the top left. Slide that up a little bit more. Try to keep it in a clean spot. Oh, try to keep it clean, Elizabeth. Okay. So we're going to put it in the top left here in this peacock eye. And then we're going to come down and come in the lower right. So opposite corners. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Matter of fact, we'll bring a little bit more here. And we'll lift that. And I think I want a little bit more over here. And maybe up here. Okay. So now we've got, again, we're going to clean that off with the edges. And now we've got this beautiful addition of that metallic raised up texture, and that goes really nice with the brown card. And again, there's this could be plain. Whoa! Oh no. Okay, we're fine. This could be just like that. I like it just like that, but you could also add a postage stamp in there, but I don't think it needs it because you don't want to cover up the beautiful collage papers that you used. Okay, so for the black and gray tags, I decided to come back to this unicorn hair color because it's not really gold and it's not really silver. It's sort of somewhere in the middle. And I think it'll be a nice contrast, but not too much of a contrast with these dark cards. So I'm going to use the flower, this sort of flower that's in the lower corner here, to come up over the top corner of this tag. That texture and that really nice kind of silvery, they used to call that German silver, sort of a goldish silver, but that looks really great on that card and with that texture. I'm really liking that on the gray. And so there we've got opposite corners, upper right, bottom left, and again, a nice dimensional texture with the Italian wedding stencil on the black. And then I'm going to come back in with the color that's a little bit more gold, and that is the Dragon's Eye. The difference in these two, how the dragon's eye is more what we expect of a yellow gold. And for this one, we can come back in and put a couple of Christmas stamps on here. Let's go with upper left, and I'm going to get one of the feather eyes up on there. Oh yeah, I love that. I'll show you these at the end when they're all dry, because the white, the opaqueness, I think, of it is going to go away a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit more shiny. Maybe, I don't know, but I think it might dry a little bit differently. But look at that. That is just so much fun on that big tag. So that's that one. And that is really complementary to all the shades of brown that we used. So I'm going to let these dry. I'm going to give you a look at all of them laid out so you can remember all the effects that we tried. And thank you for being here with me. This has been tons of fun. And now I have a big mess to clean up. But whoops, let's not put it in that. But yeah, so thanks for being here. Well, I know that was long, and I'm glad that you stayed to the end. Thank you for that. And I would like to encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that you can see these tutorial videos every week on Fridays. And if you are so inclined, check out my newsletter mailing list, where you'll get the tutorial tidbit as a blog post with all the products and photos listed below in one nice, happy package. So happy Friday. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you back here next week.